Hi there, I'm Richard Spears, and welcome to Burning Spears, my YouTube channel. Today I've got something exceptional to show you. I love biltong. Being South African, it's in my blood. I love it to absolute death, and I love making it because I make it according to my taste and how I like it, and holistically with less additives, less preservatives, numbers, etc, etc. So I've done a few videos before. Today's about spicy variants of biltong. So I've got three for you. Three absolute bombers. Let's have a closer look at them, shall we? Disclaimer, I've just sort of mixed everything up and worked it all out, and I've been tasting. And I'm already in pain. My mouth's in pain, my eyes and nose have been watering. You'll see why in the video of this one. It's something else. But let's have a look, shall we? This, for the non-South Africans, is biltong bites or chili bites, chili sticks, snap sticks, because when they're really dry they just snap apart. I like my stuff a little bit wetter, so these aren't snappy. I don't mind the chew that comes with that, but when you dry them down really well, they just snap apart and they're easy to chew. I like a bit of bite to know what I'm dealing with. Nice and spicy. You'll see the process on the video. Amazing. Then I've got my chili biltong, or in this case habanero biltong. Really good. A good way of using the different chili peppers that you like. Top notch and delicious. Then this is the special, the pièce de résistance. Apologies for my French accent, but this is a chili oil that has gone on a traditional biltong, like a normal biltong. Watch this video. This is something else. It's all the rage and has been for some time in Durban. It's been trending. They're having competitions as to who makes the hottest oil to put on. So essentially it's a dressed biltong with this chili oil. But this is made with the ghost pepper, the Butcherlokia chili, one of the hottest in the world, and it certainly tastes of that. So stick around, watch this video, have a look, try and make this stuff. And it is fairly entertaining because I get to grips with the heat a little bit. But I'll try and act like a big strong man on camera. Okay, so onto the meat. I've got two medium size silver side cuts, whole silver side pretty much. One is quite exceptional. It's an Aberdeen Angus with a lovely thick fat cap. This is the best sort of look you can get for biltong. This is quite common in the UK, not a lot of fat. People don't like a lot of fat in their diet these days. Unfortunately, this is what I tend to make biltong out of. But I was very lucky to get hold of this little baby today. So in the US this is called bottom round, and it's the preferred cut. You can use top side, which is top round in the States, or rump or anything like it, but that adds to the cost significantly. So I've got these two to work with. Essentially you're going to see me break them down, take as much silver skin and bits and pieces off that I can. Generally going to leave this top section alone because of the fat, and there is a lot of silver skin there, but in the context of biltong it's not too bad, as long as your biltong doesn't have the thick internal veins of sinew in there. But again, it is what it is. The way it's cut, it's not too much of a problem. Then you'll see me get onto the actual individual slicing of it. Okay, so for the normal sort of biltong style biltong that I'm going to be making today, Like I said, I'm going to be using this one and a bit of this one because this doesn't have as much fat on. I'm going to save this for the chili bites, the chili sticks. So you'll see 2 different cutting methods happening. Essentially, you want to get nice whole pieces, an inch and a half thick. Nice slices, long slices. That's less work, less prep, more enjoyment. You know, if you have to hang 100 little pieces as opposed to 10 big pieces, that's what you want. You want to utilize all of your meat, however. So there'll be different sizes and different bits and pieces. I'm going to be conscious of the fact that I'm cutting with the grain. Some people like to cut against the grain, but in biltong it's generally cut with the grain. Grain's going everywhere here, so essentially I'm just going to cut slices like this, and then I'm going to pivot when I get to a piece that's quite different. Look at the marbling in this Aberdeen Angus. It's really a beautiful cow to make biltong from. That is just flavour time. Those oils hit your palate when you chew on the biltong. Really, really good. Right, so the reason you see me cutting them thinner like this is because of my biltong slicing machine. It's only got a mouth about that big, so I can only put a certain width of biltong through, whereas I love to have and own a solid piece like that. So I'm going to leave 2 big ones for sort of hand slicing and eating, only because for me they're just so gorgeous in their full state. But that's essentially the biltong slice cut done. Right, so now I'm going to cut for the chili bites or chili sticks. So I've got the odds and ends. I could have made small bits of biltong out of this, but I'm saving them for this particular application. I'm going to show some additional techniques to use when doing it. Now you can see the length of the grain running lengthways. If you get a cut like a top side and that, and you can achieve your strips, your long strips across the grain like that, so that when you bite or snap, they just really break because there's no long grain running there. You're not snapping against the grain. You'll be instead snapping pieces off like that. So that's the ultimate, to get the ultimate tenderness. However, having grown up on this, I know what it is, and I'm quite happy when I've got a bit of a tear it off with my teeth or chew a bit longer. It really doesn't stress me out. So in this application you'll see me going along the grain. However, we're a little bit fortunate here that the piece that I saved, the grain is a little bit more diagonal, so I should get an easier tear off there. But they're so thin, if you dry them out extremely or a lot more than they should be, they just break apart on you. Of course I like a little bit of red in my chili sticks. I don't like to dry them out too much, so I'm prepared for that chew. It's just part of the journey. So as you can see, these are a lot thinner than biltong slices traditionally are, and that's because we're cutting into thin strips, and they do dry quicker obviously because they're thin. So what's easier is if you were to sort of almost put these in the freezer just to get them stiff, then this whole slicing process is really quick, especially when you don't have a proper curved butcher's blade like I do, which I'm putting on the shopping list right now after this video. And then you cut these strips out, as you will see. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the end bit to figure out how to make nice chili bites out of these odd shapes. This is great because it limits the wastage as well. Right, let's get on to the ingredients for the chili bites. I've got cayenne powder, chili powder, you can use Kashmiri powder, chipotle if you wanted to, for instance, but I know that's going to give the level of heat that I want. Crushed chilies, just more bit of bite, and also very much so for the look. Freshly ground black pepper, not a fine grind. You'll see I still got some whole ones that'll just fall away and not be used, and then whole coriander that's been dry roasted in a pan, and I've ground it up so that I have some nice big flecks of it as well, which is customary for the look of biltong, to have those half kernels and stuff, some of those visible. And on there, dry roasting it releases the flavonoids in there, smelling beautiful and amazing. I've got fine kosher sea salt. Don't normally use fine salt in a typical biltong recipe, but we'll get onto that. Then I've got some white vinegar. You can use brown vinegar, apple cider vinegar, your choice. I'm just using white because I have lots of it. And now I'm going to make the sort of rub for the chili bites. I've probably got in the region of about 4 kilograms, 8 pounds of strips. I'm going to eyeball all of this. It's not crucial as long as your sort of basic proportions are okay. It's not the end of the world. I don't normally put salt in the final mix on my stuff, but I'm just going to put about half a tablespoon of that in there. I'm going to go not a lot. This isn't really a traditional recipe where I'd use a lot of coriander, 50-50 coriander, black pepper. Just going to put 1 tablespoon in there. Again, 1 heaped tablespoon of black pepper, toning down those amounts because they are chili bites, therefore the chili must be prominent. 1, 2 tablespoons. And because I like a lot of heat, I'm going to go 2 heaped of the cayenne. So a really nice fiery blend. If you don't like that much heat, probably go on singles 1, 1, 1, 1. But I'm quite happy with that. That should give a great flavor for my palate. So now I'm going to salt the strips, which is the first part of the cure. And I'm not too worried about the amount of salt because that gets washed off by vinegar. You want there to be that salt to start the cure. So somewhere in the region of about 4 or 5 tablespoons have been added here now. I might add another 1 or 2. You want to make sure that it's mixed well throughout. And you'll be able to see it and you'll know it's there. If you can't see it, you need to add a bit more. Right, so these have been salted for about 10 minutes. They've gone like waxy, which is exactly what you want. Don't want to leave them in much longer than that. And then I'm just going to add white vinegar just so it just covers, and leave that for 10 minutes. Okay, so we've been in for 10 minutes. The meat has gone a sort of grey colour, which is what you want. You know that the vinegar has started to cook the outside. So that's ready. Okay, so my chili bites, chili sticks, snap sticks were in for only 2 days. I took them out a little bit early because the other stuff was going to be longer. The longer you leave this for, the drier it is, the easier it is to eat, especially when cut like this. But I'm used to it a bit tough, so plenty tender like it. So when I was in the Cayman Islands, I worked on a Biltong business with a friend where we produced commercially. A lot of the methods that I use now were developed by myself from those days, because work in the evenings, you know, second job, churning out vast quantities. That was how these techniques got developed. So what I used to make as a chili biltong before turned into a bonnet biltong, because Scotch bonnet peppers, you couldn't get habaneros at Scotch bonnet, being the Caribbean. So that's what I used, and I used a similar method to make bonnet biltong. Delicious. Scotch bonnet, amazing. I've got some great red habaneros today. Habaneros, my preference to the Scotch bonnet. They're so similar, I don't really know if there's too much of a difference, but in my mind the habanero is a little bit more fruity, but that might just be me. I'm sure everyone's got their own theories on the differences, and the bonnet being Caribbean, they fiercely defend them, but great product. Habanero, Scotch bonnet, amazing. You could use chilies, you could use a mix, you could use a whole different mix of stuff, as long as it's got heat. So I'm reassured that I've got enough heat. Normally I'd have a little bit more, but I'm making a hot sauce, so these are the leftovers, so I want to make do with this. This method's slightly different to the normal running through with the salting and the vinegaring separate and all that. This is slightly different, more sort of in line with, I suppose, a traditional home style biltong production video that you might have seen, where you leave stuff to soak and it's not bathed and stuff and all of that, but we'll get onto that. So I've got some leftover coriander, some leftover ground pepper from the other variants that I've made. I've got some fine salt, good kosher sea salt, and again slightly different, there's no coarse salt, but anyway, I digress. So white vinegar. So basically I'm going to make a hot sauce or vinegar bath, marinade out of these ingredients. I'm going to grind it all up, and then I'm going to make sure that it's extremely vinegary and extremely salty, so that I know the cure will happen on this side. These will get left for a lot longer. Ideally overnight is great. I won't leave them overnight. I'll leave them probably for about 2 hours, and I make sure that I've got as much stuff packed on as possible, so there's still that heat transfer coming out of your heat source of choice. So they hang up, they take a little bit to dry, but man, the flavor is so worth it. It really is a good spicy variant to have in your arsenal. So please try this one. Right, so basically very simple. I'm just going to blitz everything up and then massage it into the meat. Unfortunately, you have to taste it to make sure that you've got enough salt in there to enable the cure to be good. This is probably one of the worst parts of it. And straight off the bat, I'm extremely happy with the salt level and the heat. Very vinegary. Actually, I'll put another tablespoon of salt in that. Okay, this has been soaking for 2 hours. Now, because it's quite watery, I didn't put enough chilies or jalapenos in. I'm going to strain it off a bit so I get more of a red coating for it, just to get some of the vinegar off. Thanks, mate. Okay, some of these thinner pieces I took out at 4 days. They're quite dry, sort of what you would normally get. But I like a little bit of give and a little bit of moisture in my biltong. I like them to be a little bit red on the inside. But you can see this chili coating, the habaneros. They are going to provide so much heat and a lovely color. It really did turn out well, and I can't wait to slice this up and try it. Okay, so for the special treat, the chili oil biltong, I'm going to make a traditional biltong, which is my stock standard one. If you haven't seen my main biltong making video, which explains the technique more in detail. I will be using the same ingredients, except because we're in the spicy mood, I will add some crushed chilies. So I've got coriander ground, black ground pepper, freshly ground, dried, roasted in a pan and then ground, not too fine, so that you get the nice look. I've got white vinegar today. You could use any vinegar you wanted. And I've got coarse sea salt. It must be coarse for this method so that you don't oversalt your meat. And it's a really simple method. Basically, you salt the meat, and it doesn't matter on the quantity. You can't really overdo it with my method because of the coarseness of the sea salt. So you just want to make sure it goes everywhere. You want to make sure you've got a bit of a covering going on. Okay, so that I'm going to leave for 15 minutes or so. You can go to 20 minutes, it's not too serious. The main danger here is when you get too much liquid pooling in the bottom, and that dissolves the salt at a rapid rate. So you're essentially soaking it in very salty liquid. You don't want that. But 15-20 minutes is adequate for that. Okay, so typically I go with a 50-50 mix. This is almost 50-50. I like a lot of pepper. I like a bit of a burn on there. If you make your biltong spicy, then a lot of people don't eat it, so there's more for you to eat. So generally keep that sort of thing in mind. So I'm just going to go 50-50. Again, eyeballing the mix. So that's a nice 50-50 mix. And I'm just going to go about a third of the amount of crushed chili in there. Alright, so these have been on the go for I think about 17 minutes. And they're ready to vinegarize. The second part of the cure would just be soaked in vinegar for another 15 or so minutes. Now, because I'm just making sure they're covered in the vinegar. Now the vinegar will rinse the salt off, and the vinegar will take on some salt, so it'll push that salt in a little bit deeper as well to help with the cure. Okay, been a little bit over 15 minutes. You can see it's gone grey brown. That's what you want. That's when you know the vinegar has done its job. Okay, so it's day 6 and I've taken these out. These are cut really thick because they're for me, and I like my biltong to be nice and dry on the outside and quite raw and pink and red in the middle on the inside. So I will have achieved that. You can see there's a bit of squash, but this is just delicious quality. The fat is beautiful. It's all nice and yellow and cured. So I'm going to slice up a lot of this, and this is going to be the chili oil biltong, the heat supreme. You'll see that happen. Okay, so for the spicy oil, essentially I'm going to season the traditional biltong that I made with the spicy oil. Now, the spicy oil recipe calls for peri peri oil. This is one that I got online. It's hard to get proper peri peri oil in the UK. So I'm hoping this will do and doesn't just taste like hot sunflower oil. Then, normally you would have a capsicum extract, which is really spicy, and it's used to boost chilies in the food industry, and I don't really like using things like that, so I have ghost chilies, the Naga Jolokia chili that is extremely hot. They're dried, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to blitz them in my spice grinder until they're a powder, and delicately add them to this with a bit of salt until I'm happy that it's head blowing material. So if I can give everyone a warning that wants to replicate this, it's been over 15 minutes of me feeling like I'm a hippie in the riots in the 60s and the 70s. I put about 4 of these ghost peppers, these Naga Jolokia, in the spice grinder, and I ran it for a bit, and I shook it and shook it, and then I thought I'd see how it was grinding, and I opened it carefully because I knew there would be some inherent danger. I didn't realize that you don't see it coming, and it's fine. My nose is streaming, my eyes have been streaming for about 15 minutes, so just be really careful when handling this stuff. If you can get it in some sort of liquid form, probably a better thing, but what we do for entertainment, right? So I'm going to start with this. Got my peri-peri oil. I'm going to eyeball, I probably want about 1/4 cup of this mix for this, probably a bit less, like 1/5 or so of a cup. So there's a 250 bottle, 250 ml, not much out of there. I'm going to put a fair bit of salt in to enhance the flavour, about 4 pinches. Then I'm going to do this really carefully now. Very nervous to open this and put too much in, but I'm going to go for it. Yeah, let me see. Oh, hits me straight in the back of the throat. I'd have put ¾ teaspoon of there, and I'm going to have to move off and blow my nose again. And I've got to taste this to see if it's any good, so bear with me, guys, bear with me. Oh, damn it. Right, I'm back. How to turn a biological weapon into great tasting food. Should really leave this overnight, a day or 2 or 3 or 4, but don't have that luxury, and I need to get this done while I still have the courage after dealing with that smell. Not the best peri-peri oil. You really need salt to bring that out. And I'm going to be daring. So it's probably a teaspoon I'll put in now. 2 teaspoons. I can feel the warmth coming through. The warmth is there, it's a creeper. Good, I've got the salt coming through. Oh, it's hitting the back of the throat now. There we go, that's all of it. 2½ teaspoons, something like that. Even the people inside the house are coughing. Stuff's potent. Okay. You can see there's a lot of solid from the grind. And a bit of salt still. Now you want to get a nice even coat on everything. You don't want it to be an oily mess. So add little stir lots. Not seeing any in the bottom, so I can add a bit more. This is almost like a man salad, perfectly dressed. Oh, that's deadly. I'm going to go get a drink. Okay everyone, I hope you enjoyed the different techniques that it took to make these. 3 great examples of spicy biltong. Really, really good. A few little tweaks I could have made. I'll get to those in a little bit. But overall pretty happy, man, pretty happy. So I'm gonna taste this now. As I've mentioned, if one was to cut across the grain, you'd have a much more tender bite. It would break apart. But for me, I'm used to chew. I don't have them super dry. So I'm expecting chew, and I'm expecting to have to chew and rehydrate, and my saliva to wake up those flavors and all that sort of thing. I'll see if I can find a dry piece, but let me try it a bit now. There we go. The hit of cayenne. Very strong, very good at what it's supposed to do. It does what it's supposed to do. It's got that slight smokiness to it, which I love. And of course, backing up the heat. These are great. If you just make a little batch with your offcuts, whatever you do, they're really good to make a big batch of them. Hundreds, thousands of them. Dry piece. Easy to snap and break off. Easy to eat. Cheers. So you want those salty, you want them dry, spicy. That's what you want. Right, then the habanero or the chili biltong. You can smell the habaneros. I've had some pre-taste on this, so quite a bit of sweetness came through, surprisingly. But again, I'm surprised at the amount of sweetness that's come through. A nice heat. I love habaneros. That flavor, that pepper flavor that they've got, not table pepper, but the chili pepper flavor. Really, really good. Man, that is good. That is so Moorish. Would like a little bit more salty, but if it was drier, it would be salty, more salty. Very, very tasty. Strong initial flavor. Let the beef shine through. Spot on. Absolutely spot on. Not that hot, by the way, but it has its moments. Right, now, you saw in the video how I struggled with this. So, I haven't tasted it. Like, of course, I've been snacking on these while I was getting ready for this. But I haven't tasted this. And this is my first time making it. I just got told about it a few months ago. And I waited to find out some more, do some more research on the ingredients and that. So this is my first time eating the chili oil biltong. Wow, that's banging. Initially you lulled into a sense of security. You think, no, it's not that hot. But it's ratcheting, it's increasing now. As peppers like that tend to, especially when dry, they start off mellow and then just come in strong. I'm glad I put salt in it. Wasn't overly happy with the peri-peri oil. I need to find a good brand or make my own. You could use a chili oil, like a Chinese chili oil for this. But I think the Butcherlock is a real nice addition. Lips are burning. This is so hot, but it's so addictive. If you own a bar, you want to put this on the bar counter, you will sell so much beer, it's frightening. Boy, oh boy. Cut. I've got to go before I make a fool of myself. This is hot, man. So delicious. Turn it off, thanks. Oh. Oh, that's hot. Oh. I hope that's not my last beer in the fridge. That's like competition stuff. Oh my goodness. I'm going to go get some milk. It's kicking. Oh, make the bad man go away.